is Black Friday to honour Rebecca Black.
Answer me this, answer me this.
Would you rather eat polystyrene or Snacker Jacks?
Answer me this. Helen and Ollie, answer me this.
We've had a suggestion, Ollie, as to how you can perhaps recreate the childish joy you felt when being given a piggyback, but in a more adult way. Tony in Manchester says, Ollie, if you like piggybacking...
We established that I definitely do.
Well, you did. You might not as an adult anyway.
That's true,
without
yeah.
your medical
I haven't
problems.
tried it for 20 years.
She says, if you like piggybacking, why not play donkey barging?
Now, that's not the same as donkey bagging, is it?
What's donkey bagging?
Donkey bagging is when you're bumming someone, you put your fingers down their throat to make them sick and it tightens their anal sphincter.
Oh, that's even worse than a donkey punch. Why do people come up with such awful sexual practices?
They're both made up, aren't they? They're not real things.
I don't think people really do it either.
Why do people think of not only such awful sounding made up sexual practices, but ones that are very hard to execute physically? Like, how would you reach around far enough to get enough purchase on someone's throat?
Well, that all depends on the size of the lady.
And the size of your arm. Anyway, she says donkey barging is where 4 or more people in pairs give piggybacks and they try to push each other off. Great fun.
So you've introduced a guaranteed element of instability into the scenario that I was concerned might cause me to fall off. I don't think you've understood, Tony in Manchester, that the issues that I feel that I might hurt my back by falling off are not going to be resolved by doubling the opportunities to fall off.
I think increasing more than double.
That's
because
right.
someone's
yeah.
actively trying to get that result. And you're essentially jousting.
Well, we've had more feedback on last week's show from Kate in China. It's exotic, isn't it?
I don't know. Might be very ordinary. I've never been.
I see what you're saying. I mean, it all depends on global perspective. But to me, China seems exotic from this living room in Crystal Palace.
Well, to 1 billion people, it seems ordinary.
I take your point. She says, I just thought I'd email in response to Martin's statement that they don't drink milk in China. I'm living in China this year, teaching English in a high school in Chengdu, and I can categorically tell you that they definitely do drink milk in China.
I think historically they didn't.
One swallow does not make a summer, Kate. Maybe it's all the rage in Chengdu, and the rest of China is still anti-milk.
Well, she says there, the kids drink it every day and are always telling me to drink more of it because it's healthy. To be fair, it's not really proper milk, but it's close.
Well, that is healthy, isn't it? Fake milk.
Not proper milk.
Maybe it's diluted emulsion paint that they're drinking.
No, she says what it is it comes in little cartons, sometimes flavoured with fruit. My favourite is the kiwi.
Oh, that's a bit acidic to be flavouring a milky thing.
Yeah,
totally. Yeah, but then sometimes it's that combination of sweet and sour that makes a pleasurable taste experience, isn't it?
Sweet and sour milk.
She says it has little pieces of actual fruit in it and some kind of jelly substance, which is strange at first, but you get used to it.
Sounds a bit like vomit.
I've had that, not the milk, but I've had, in Chinese...
Yellow jelly.
Yeah, Chinese superstores, you can get that aloe vera drink.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, I like it. The first time you have it, it's a bit like reverse barfing. But then when you get used to the idea of chunks going down your throat that way, you actually think, actually this is quite a pleasurable experience.
Hi, this is Freya, living in Bournemouth. Helen, answer me this. Why in the restaurant chain, TGI Fridays, is there an apostrophe before the S? Because I don't think that grammatically makes sense, because it's not like that anything belongs to TGI Fridays. And if there's not any reasoning for the apostrophe to be there, then why is it still there?
Well, usually I'm very upset by abused apostrophes. And
More than upset. Distraught, I'd go as far to say.
I do feel a physical pain.
Yeah, but not on this occasion.
Well...
Why? Because there's loaded potato skins to make you feel better.
Onion rings!
Have you had the onion loaf? Do they do that there?
I haven't been there since I was 9.
They do that in some American ones. I don't know if they do it in the UK.
What's onion loaf?
Oh my god, it's amazing. It's
Is
it's loads of onion rings in a mound. Like a bread loaf that you can cut through, so you have like 10 onion rings in a slice.
Horrible.
No, it's awesome.
Actually, I've just seen something on a website that collates the Chat magazine type top tips. And this one says, I wanted an onion ring pole for a party I was hosting for strippers with halitosis.
Yeah.
And couldn't find one anywhere. Then I had an idea. The kitchen roll holder did just the job. Here it is, Ollie, looking classy.
Oh, that looks brilliant, actually.
Who wants an onion ring pole? Who wants a pole of onion rings for a party?
That is beautiful, yeah.
Shame we got married before we saw that.
So is that someone trying to do homemade TGI Friday stuff? Maybe because they are disgusted by the apostrophe. Because I can't justify this, Helen.
The apostrophe.
Apart from possibly, although we all know it stands for Thank God It's Fridays, right? But possibly there is a man who was known as TGI Friday to his mates, and he opened the first one.
No, the first one was opened by a man called Alan Stillman.
So it doesn't work. It's not called Stillman's. Why has it got the apostrophe?
I think it's just, though, in that tradition of bars named after a person. It's a TGI Fridays establishment.
Right.
It's an unfinished sentence.
It's a bar belonging to TGI Friday.
But I think they could have just left off the S and the apostrophe, and then we wouldn't have this problem.
I think that's right. I think that's absolutely right, Helen. I think, therefore, you should be animated about this subject.
Oh, don't give me another linguistic bugbear, Ollie. I'm already too preoccupied with people using pronouns incorrectly when they're saying Ollie and I when they mean Ollie and me, or vice versa.
See, now I find that quite confusing. I think what you said to me, which is quite useful, is think about the sentence without the other person in it.
That's right.
And say, would I say I or me in that
You do that
circumstance?
anyway.
Classic only child. But all I can remember of TGI Fridays food is onion ring. Do they actually sell anything that's not onion rings?
Well, the thing is, it's basically burgers, isn't it? And I think in the 70s, when there was only Hard Rock Cafe, Sticky Fingers and that was quite exciting. But now, I mean, there's so many American bars and stuff. Like, to me, TGI Fridays is a place you go, like Café Rouge, when there's nowhere else.
Yeah.
It's fine.
You're on an industrial estate in the middle of nowhere, or in an airport terminal.
And you think, okay, £15 for a burger, it's a bit expensive, but it'll be an okay burger. I'll go there.
If there was branch of giraffe, you go for giraffe.
You get branch of giraffe. I'm glad we revived that catchphrase.
I'm surprised giraffe haven't deployed it yet.
Someone actually tweeted me the other day saying they walked around Coventry or something and saw a giraffe and went, branch of giraffe.
It's not even a catchphrase, is it? It's just saying what it is, but thinking about Ollie Man the whole time.
Yeah.
I read the recipe for making a Big Mac, and apparently the special sauce is store-bought mayonnaise, yellow mustard, and sweet pickle relish mixed together.
Yeah, that sounds about right, yeah.
And that's the critical Big Mac taste, isn't it?
See, when you know, it's not interesting, is it?
No.
When you know, you're like, oh yeah, that sounds... It's like when they reveal how Houdini did his magic tricks. You're like, oh, okay, there was a door at the back. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Who's the old woman on Steve Wright in the Afternoon? It's an old woman, you've never heard of her.
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah. You know, it's more interesting to have the mystery, people.
Who's girl with the one-track mind? A woman I don't know.
Yeah. Well, here's a question from Dan in Peterborough, and he says, Helen, answer me this. If Chico and MC Hammer were in the same room... What time would it be?
Oh, is it Chico time or Hammer time? Yeah. I think the quality of both those times is quite different. I think Chico time is more a phase that you go into. It's a mood. Yes. Whereas Hammer time, I think, is on the hour and every quarter.
So it's possible to experience both at once. Hammer time could fall in the middle of someone experiencing Chico time.
Very much. Like Chico time is a fugue state,
yes,
perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think would have a better time in that room? I'd imagine Chico is a more polite man, but we'd have to listen to MC Hammer banging on about MC Hammer's current business ventures.
I think that's probably right. I can't imagine MC Hammer would want to be in the same room as Chico, although you could well imagine them both being on Celebrity Big Brother, couldn't you?
Yeah.
The thing is, Hammer now, he's a sort of Silicon Valley entrepreneur, isn't he? Whereas Chico, I looked on his website, he was on Dancing on Ice this year apparently, but his most recent job was hosting a live bingo cam session.
That's not like the live girls cams, is it? But just Chico using a bingo dabber on a bingo card.
I don't believe so, Helen, no. But Hammer is doing the one-hit wonder retro nostalgia stuff again, the ironic stuff.
Chesney Hawkes can do it.
Yeah, but Hammer for a long time just didn't want to go there, was still presenting himself as a serious artist.
Or a serious Silicon Valley investor.
Yeah, but actually apparently this week he performed at the American Music Awards with Psy. They did a mashup. They did Gangnam Style, and Hammer did Too Legit to Quit.
I don't remember
his
that
famous worldwide #1 smash.
That's the name of his album, wasn't it?
This is what I mean. He's still reluctant. Do You Can't Touch This. That's all anyone wants. He didn't wear the gold trousers either. He wore white ones.
And how sick would Psy be of doing the Gangnam Style dance now? He's just been doing that dance solidly for months. He hasn't even been allowed to walk everywhere.
He's really good at it, though. He's really graceful. I watched him trying to teach Jay Rayner how to do it today on a video.
That's touching.
And Jay Rayner wasn't getting it at all, but Psy was moving.
Jay Rayner's a middle-aged food critic. It's not really his oeuvre to learn dances.
Psy's not that young, but he was moving with a beautiful equine grace.
Hello, it's Charlie from Leeds. Helen and Ollie, answer me this. It's my brother's birthday today, and we accidentally put some relighting candles on his cake. And we were just wondering, how does it actually work so that the candles keep on relighting?
Oh, those are good fun, aren't they? Those trick candles.
They kind of are. It's very embarrassing being the victim, I think, of the relighting candles.
Well, it's like it's embarrassing being the victim of any practical joke.
But usually you can see the funny side, and then once you've seen the funny side, the joke's over.
And usually it's not your birthday.
But the problem with relighting candles is, yeah, exactly, it is your birthday, and so you want to be the centre of attention in a different way.
In a good way.
Yeah. And yet you're going to feel slightly awkward at being centre of attention at that exact moment when everyone's singing happy birthday and looking at you, and you have to just kind of be gracious. That's difficult, isn't it, pulling that face for a long time?
It's awful having happy birthday sung at you anyway, because it's such a terrible song.
Yeah.
It was my brother's birthday last weekend, and my mum managed to get the song in, I think, 3 separate times.
It's just awful, isn't it? Why did mums like it in particular?
I think it's brain damage. Maybe it's something that happens when a child goes through your birth canal. Anyway, the reason why these things work to ruin Ollie Mann's birthday is because, unlike a normal candle, they have a substance in the wick so that the ember that's left in the wick when you've just blown it out can reignite and thus set fire to the little stream of paraffin vapour that is rising off the wick that you've just blown out.
Okay, so it's turning the byproduct of an ordinary blown-out candle into something that causes the reignition of this particular gas.
Yeah, so the gas will reignite and light the wick and the candle will be going in. So usually they use magnesium powder.
I wonder how reigniting candles came to be, because obviously we know them all as a beloved practical joke, but to me it seems like that technology, you know, the magnesium, the paraffin...
Could be old, couldn't it?
Well, I wonder if it's the sort of thing that was developed actually for the military.
I was thinking for the Elizabethans, because they love court jesters. They probably thought this joke was really funny.
No, but, you know, imagine that. The enemy thinks they've turned off your ticking bomb, but they haven't.
Well, it is a similar principle to dynamite sticks.
Yeah, exactly.
And you could put those on a birthday cake, but it might produce beyond the desired effect of a joke.
There'll be cake everywhere.
If you've got a question, then email your question, to AnswerMe this podcast, googlemail.com. AnswerMe this podcast, googlemail.com. AnswerMe this podcast, googlemail.com. Hepcat. AnswerMe this podcast, googlemail.com.
So, retrospectors, what historical events are we ticking off on this week's run of Today in History?
On Monday, the anniversary of the day Ozzy Osbourne and a bat came face to face on stage.
On Tuesday, we go back to the future with a potted history of the DeLorean.
On Wednesday, why is the Pope guarded by those guys in floofy hats?
On Thursday, how the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame ended up in Cleveland.
And on Friday, was Henry VIII really an asshole, or was it just the result of a jousting accident?
We discuss this and more on Today in History with the Retrospectors. 10 minutes each weekday, wherever you get your podcasts.
Here's a question from Concerned in Hebden Bridge, who says, my wife is due to give birth to our first child in April.
Well, good luck.
That's good, isn't it?
That sounds like good news.
Yes. Understandably, he says, she would like me to be in the delivery room during the labour to provide moral support, encouragement, and witness the moment our first child comes into this world.
It doesn't seem an unreasonable demand. I mean, she's going to be doing most of the work.
You do read this and you think, where is this going next? Because it wouldn't be beyond the wit of man to imagine that this is going to be, but England are playing Argentina that day, so I don't know if I can make it.
I'm not sure our listeners are cut from such crass cloth.
Okay, geek version. There's a new Lord of the Rings film out that day.
The Hobbit!
I've got tickets for the IMAX.
They're launching the iPhone 6.
Anyway, it's not that, thankfully.
Oh, so he's not camping outside the Apple store.
No, he's got a good reason to be dubious about whether he should be there, and I don't really know what to say to him. Here's what he says. I would like to be part of the occasion, but unfortunately I have a tendency to faint at the slightest sign of anything icky.
Right, well, unfortunately...
It's pretty icky.
Not only that, the life of a child is quite icky. They're disgusting.
Count yourself out now.
No, you're just going to have to get over it.
But I've never fainted at anything.
You've never fainted?
No, I've literally never fainted. I've never felt like I was going to faint either. I can't relate to this at all.
If you blow up a long balloon, Ollie, those are much tougher than a round balloon. That's the kind of sensation, but intensified. And it also feels a bit like your skull is too small for your brain.
Okay, now what I have had is when I spent too long in a steam room.
Right.
And I know then that if I spend another 10 minutes in there, then I'm going to faint, I guess.
Over-pampering.
Yeah, that's my major clinical problem. Then I know that I need to go outside, get some water, get some air. So I guess I can relate to that. Concern from Hebden Bridge does have some examples of his previous fainting experiences, and they're pretty wussy, Helen.
Okay.
Being unable to watch James Herriot stick his hand up a cow in All Creatures Great and Small.
Oh, for God's sake.
Fainting whilst giving blood. I've been politely asked not to come back.
That happens to a lot of people. Not me. And I've done it 4 times.
I can't give blood because I definitely would faint.
Why?
And piss myself.
What?
It's a phobia. It's not...
Of what? The needle?
Yeah, the sensation of having a needle in my flesh.
Okay, but if you were in the hospital receiving blood, would that make you faint? Or that
Well, no.
doesn't matter because you're in the right
quite
place?
faint because he's missing blood.
Yeah, if I'm in that circumstance, I'd probably be under general anaesthesia.
Whenever he sees me sewing, he passes out and throws up.
For someone who's worked in the medical industry, though, Martin, that is quite remarkable.
I don't have a problem with other people's blood. I'm quite happy for the people to bleed all over the shop. It's my own
well, that's
mortality.
interesting then, isn't it, concerned in Hebden Bridge? Maybe seeing your own blood makes you faint, but seeing the gushing blood coming out of your wife's vagina, that'll be absolutely fine.
And the faeces, and the gunk.
And the entrails.
And the tearing.
I'm sure it'll be fine. Are you still with us? Someone throw some water on him.
And the mucus.
Okay, well, here's another example. He says that he fainted when he got a tattoo done. This was very embarrassing.
I'm going to get a tattoo done then.
He says he almost fainted during the ultrasound as well.
Why?
That's pretty lame.
Is that just because it looks like an alien parasite has taken up residence in your wife?
Because of my belly button phobia, I think I would have an issue with an ultrasound, actually, with the distended belly button.
Could you ask your girlfriend to wear a little toupee over her belly button during the pregnancy? Anyway, we've established that concern from Hebden Bridge is not good with needles or James Herriot.
Yes.
What does he want to know?
Well, he wants to know, Helen, answer me this. How the hell am I going to make it through my wife's labour without fainting? Sit down, number 1.
It might not be that practical to sit down, and I think you definitely want to remain at your wife's head end, because I don't think anything in the room is going to be that pleasant, but at least you're not at the business end where things are coming out of her.
The business end, that's right. You're at premium economy.
Yeah. And also, it's fairly early on in her pregnancy. If she's not due till April, they probably haven't done the antenatal classes, so those will probably get the initial shock out of the way, because they're going to show you some horrible videos of people giving birth, apparently.
And that would help, yeah.
But you could ask the instructor at those classes for some tips for getting through it, because I bet it's a very common thing. People discover remarkable qualities in themselves at times of heightened emotion and extreme crisis. Like people who are genuinely quite wimpy and flappy, if there's an emergency, they can become very practical and supportive.
Yeah, my dad's a bit like that, actually. Like, my dad obsesses about the most tiny detail to do with what time I'm arriving. It's usually to do with arrangements. He'll call me 5 times. What time are you driving here? Where are you parking? Where are you coming from? Information doesn't even concern him.
Yeah.
And yet, if I was to call him and say, Dad, I've just had a car crash, he'd say, where are you? How can I help? Like, he'd actually suddenly change completely and stop worrying about it.
Well, maybe he's just worried about the things that might happen, but he's a lot more secure about things that have happened when bad things happen. My brother Andy is pretty pathetic in most situations, and he's not at all practical, and he goes absolutely apeshit when there's a wasp in the room, and yet he managed to get through the birth of 2 of his children.
One of which he delivered himself.
Yeah, but there was cricket on the radio to calm him down.
So yeah, you're right. I think probably adrenaline kicks in and you might be all right, but I still think tell the hospital staff that you might faint first.
I think probably your wife will be so angry at you if you're pathetic that it'll scare you into being a bit less of a wimp.
A bit more robust.
Yes.
Hello, this is Charlie from Oxford. I have just got into a pub with my parents, and because I'm a scientist, they expect me to know how long dinosaurs lived, because apparently nobody in the Museum of Dinosaurs seem to know. So, Helen Ollie, answer me this. What is the average lifespan of a dinosaur?
Well, at this stage, 0.
It's not relevant.
Yeah. I mean, should you tell her or should I?
But it's still a matter of curiosity, though, isn't it, Helen, even with extinct animals?
Well, flocks of paleontologists are probably trying to discover this right now.
Is that the pluralistic term for paleontologists, flocks?
I suppose a scrape of paleontologists. A fossil of paleontologists.
Oh, nice, yeah. I'll take it.
It seems to be a matter of great dispute, because some say, well, based on the life of a tortoise and an alligator, and they're a bit like dinosaurs, maybe it'd be up to 300 years. And then
sounds like guesswork.
Yeah, exactly. Other people saying, don't be silly.
Yeah.
300 years? Silly. The more realistic estimates seem to be about 40 years from the big carnivores. But then herbivores, they're saying, oh, they probably lived for 100 years. They probably didn't, because they probably got eaten when they were 20. The little dinosaurs had quite short lifespans. The ones that are kind of like birds are now, so they might be 10 or 20 years.
Now, are dinosaurs particularly resonant for our generation because of Jurassic Park, or did Jurassic Park come along because kids are always fascinated by dinosaurs?
I was into dinosaurs way before Jurassic Park came out.
Me too.
Okay, is the particular reason that children are so enchanted with dinosaurs because they don't exist? Like, actually, giraffes are pretty amazing, aren't they? But kids aren't that fascinated by giraffes because they go to the zoo, they see one, they're like, okay, it's the thing with the big long neck. It's amazing, really, but it's not a T-Rex, is it? Why is that?
But that's because we're adults. When you're a child, you're like, oh, it's like the books, but stinky.
Helen Ollie, answer me this. Don't ridicule me and don't take with a dish. Give me a clue to what I'm asking. Then in your awesome knowledge I'll be basking. What's in sound man? I'm so alone. No one to email, and no one to phone. Where can I get new friends from? Answer me this podcast.com.
Here's a question from Cheska, who says, I am a recent graduate with a dilemma. What to do with my entire life?
Oh, okay, that is what most people graduate from university with.
And then you keep it forever. 10 years on, Cheska. She says, I am currently employed at the dullest job in an industry that is not only crushingly monotonous, but also massively sexist.
Does she specify what it is?
I assume it's working on a production line making copies of Nuts magazine or something. She says, I live at home, and my post-university social life is also really getting me down, so I've decided I need a change.
Okay.
I've made it to the final stage of applicants out of about 500 people for a programme where I can work in the happiest place on earth, Disney World, Florida.
Wow.
Cool.
Although, sorry to pick you up on this, but Disneyland, California is the happiest place on earth. I don't believe Walt Disney World uses that slogan.
So it's not happy.
I believe their slogan is just the magic of Walt Disney World.
But some magic is bad magic, isn't it? It makes you melancholy.
Not at Disney World, Helen.
Sorry.
All magic is good.
Says, I'm waiting to find out whether I've made the cut. However, there are some downsides to this opportunity.
No, there aren't.
Is it that once you've experienced the second happiest place on earth, everything after that is going to be very depressing?
I think it's that once you see Minnie take her head off, all childhood illusions of Disney love are gone.
So kids listening, Ollie. She says, if I were successful, firstly, the job would be entry-level customer service, which I'm concerned could lack mental stimulation.
Yeah, especially around very enthusiastic Americans. Because they can make dull jobs seem...
They have pride. Even if they're very lowly paid, they're told to have pride because that distracts them from the fact they're not being paid properly.
And we're generalising appallingly, obviously, but compared to British people, Americans, you are a lot more enthusiastic.
Yes.
And you don't seem to mind so much when you work for massive global conglomerates and aren't really recognised for what you do.
They invented that.
Yeah.
Anyway, the money is appalling.
Right.
Around $7 or $8 an hour, with long hours, 40 plus a week.
Yeah, but presumably you get to go on Space Mountain as much as you like.
She says also, although some of the applicants were really great, others were already very cliquey and intense. Imagine Twilight fans with their own vlogs.
Wow.
Says, those people probably won't get those jobs, will they?
But people who apply for an international programme to go to Disney World...
A bit weird, right?
It's aspirational, and it's also a bit mental. So I think you'd expect that.
Why did you never do it?
I thought about it, Helen.
Did you?
I thought about going to Disneyland Paris. I never had the gumption to assume that I could get a job in Florida.
Couldn't get into the big league.
No, but my French wasn't good enough, so...
No.
But
they speak Disney there, don't they?
Yeah, but you have to be bilingual at Paris.
No, not if you're in one of the silent animal head things. Because you're not allowed to talk, are you?
Yeah, but then, it's France. You've got to be in a silent animal head union, presumably. You need to understand the paperwork.
She says, I do love Disney and am a positive person.
Good, that's 2 out of 3.
But I'm concerned that I may lack their blindingly sunny disposition.
Okay, that is just 2 out of 3 then. You've got to be blindingly sunny at all times.
You can probably get pills for it. I don't know whether it will be tough to work for 12 months with people who are so happy it makes me look like Eeyore.
Oh!
One of the Disney family.
I like how she brought in a Disney reference there. Actually, you're back on point.
I'm also concerned with the current economy and all that spending a year away could put me in a difficult position to find work on my return. It's all right. There'll probably still be a recession when you come back in a year. It'll still be difficult to find work. No worries.
Yeah.
So, Ollie, answer me this. Should I go and work at Disney World?
Yes.
Or would I be happier moving to a city, the Magic City, and finding a regular job?
Well, you can do both, can't you? And this is the thing, I think, when people graduate from university, they really feel like they have to have all the answers straight away, know what they're doing for the rest of their lives. It doesn't work like that.
Like I said, 10 years still looking.
So,
gonna cry.
Why, if you feel this urge inside you to see what it would be like working at Disney World, you've got this opportunity. Yes, the salary isn't much, but you do get to live in Florida and work in Disney World. It is going to feel like a sunny and happy place, if only for a few months before you get bored. Why not take it and then come back and get an ordinary job?
The stories you will have,
exactly,
because you worked at Disney World, will keep you going for decades. And also, to employers, when you come back to the UK, you spent that year doing something. You're already discontent in your current job.
Does she say which bit she's working in?
She says the job would be to work in the UK pavilion at Epcot.
Oh, okay, perfect.
So she'd be like the British ambassador to Disney.
Yes, that's kind of what that's like. So you've never been to Epcot, have you?
I've never been to a Disney place.
Okay. Epcot is basically a theme park based around what people in the 1960s thought the year 2000 would be like. They have this international pavilion bit.
Oh, that's like the old Crystal Palace.
There's like a French bit and an English bit.
Yeah.
And they've recreated what they think is an English pub, except obviously you can get American cheeseburgers there. And
as you can in English pubs.
Well, indeed, that's true. A red telephone box, that kind of thing.
Yeah, cool.
So she'd be working in the UK. She'd be an exotic UK
lady.
Someone you could, people might get their pictures taken with her and stuff because they met someone from the UK.
Would you have to wear a top hat with a Union Jack on it?
It's possible, that kind of thing. And she would have to be relentlessly sunny, as she says.
I don't see why this is a problem. I think by acting relentlessly sunny, it's bound to be a little pep to the spirits.
Yeah, thought follows action.
Yeah.
I also think that if you are going into any kind of customer service role afterwards, Disney, people know what that is all over the world, don't they? So whatever job you go into, yeah. And it's like, if you can do customer services at Disney World, then you are going to be, I would say, pretty good at your job. If you even just got an average reference from them, that's going to be hard going, isn't it, compared to doing customer services in a call centre for British Gas or something.
A year to a recent graduate probably seems like a long time away. You probably think, I should be doing my real big career by then. But when you get to our age, you think, yeah, I was just trifling away that time.
Yeah.
I mean,
Wish I'd spent a year at Disney World.
Yeah, I spent 6 months having to write articles based on press releases about new mobile phones.
Made you the woman you are today.
Broken.
Unemployed.
Yeah. Unemployable. Well, if any of the rest of you have life dilemmas you need us to solve, then please do get in touch. Nothing too existential because, we're just hanging by a thread ourselves. But anyway, all of our contact details are listed on our website, answermethispodcast.com.
But wait, there's more. In the style of, I guess, a kind of Pixar B-movie, there's now going to be an extra little bit.
You're really selling it.
Is it where the Anglepoise lamp jumps around a bit and has an adventure?
Yeah, it's kind of... No, I was thinking it's more like the little 4-minute films, but then you get those before the big feature day, whereas this is afterwards.
Is it like the blooper reel on Toy Story?
We know what I mean. There's going to be an extra bit now, so don't turn off this episode.
Freebies for you.
Martin has a new album out. It's called The City of Gold and Lead. And it's all you singing, playing all the instruments, all done multi-track.
It's like Prince in that respect, aren't you?
I'm a bit taller than Prince.
And if people, whilst they're listening to the track, want to buy the album...
they should go to thesoundoftheladies.com.
Thesoundoftheladies.com.
And you can get a CD. You can get a really nice CD with a pop-up paper craft sleeve, or you can get a download.
And I will say, I will say it only once, Martin, I've listened to the album and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
You listened to it twice.
I've listened to it, but I've only listened to it twice so far, but I'm going to listen to it more.
Well, you went back for more, which is a pleasant surprise.
I think it's the best one you've ever done.
Martin has agreed to give you a little taster of the album right now.
Take it away, The Sound of the Ladies.
Past the blast and the roar of the tungsten, slump a legion of interested men, and the bright little flashes you see are all making aspirational allowances like me. Has been dim through hostile olive chain. I caught a small hand yourself. Breathe, clenching unconsciously. Chin up, arm outstretched, shoulders relaxed. To echo what you're you got dressed up, right leg tense, retro, then stabbed to me. This will end. I have devices talking one. My chest rises and falls. If you really think, but sometimes in my world is so good. Secret heart, why don't you go? Wonder if I'm human at all. bye.